Awayshikin looks through the view screen and says,
"Oh my god, is that a new constitution?"
No.
"It's probably not. As far as I know, ship classes don't work that way. Okay, I can handle the Michael Burnham congratulations shit like one more time. Okay? If I see the Burnham congratulations show one more time, it's gonna start affecting the points, okay? If I see it in the next episode, it's losing half a point just for having had that occur, okay? A number of times in this episode, episode 5, Die Trying, Michael Burnham is congratulated just for having existed, basically, at least 2 times, okay? It's, oh, without you, we never would have made it to the future. And then again, at some point, one of the characters says, I remember what you said that time. I didn't remember what she said that time. Nobody does. So who cares? In this episode, we're finally going off the rails. This is the first episode, I think, where we're going to start seeing how the friggin' brakes fly off and we start driving off mildly in every direction. In this episode, we introduce the strange background overarching mystery plot. We're introducing the Kurtzman plot. We're introducing the mystery box. And this time, instead of being the Red Angel, it's the strange little melody that characters keep playing, even though they're separated by thousands of light years. Last episode, maybe I didn't mention it because I didn't think it was important, but Adira's symbiont's previous host, Gray, knew this piece of music and he would play it on some kind of instrument, and oh wow, isn't that great? And then Michael hears that piece of music again from some other alien race, even though they both shouldn't be able to know that same piece of music. Here we go. Here's the mystery box. What is it? I think it probably has something to do with Michael Burnham's mom. I think at 3 different times during the season so far, somebody has brought up Michael Burnham's mom. And I bet you that piece of music was played by her to all these different people she was visiting while she was flying around with the Red Angel suit. That's just my guess. And I also bet, since that probably has to tie into the burn, you know, the thing that destroyed all the dilithium, I think that Michael Burnham's mom somehow may have accidentally caused the burn. That's just my theory at this point. Especially if you look at the name. Hint, hint, it's in the name. The burn. Burnham. Burn. Burnham. Michael Byrne. She caused the burn. Get it? It's not rocket science. So we finally return to Starfleet / Federation headquarters based off the coordinates given to the crew by Adira, or Adira's symbiont, Tal, who I guess was an admiral when he was senna-tal. They get there and, oh my god, it's not what it seems. We were expecting a warm welcome, but actually, oh my god, everybody's a secret asshole. At least I hope that's not the case. God, I hope that Vance is a good guy. Oh my god, they meet Admiral Vance and they make him so scary. And I'm just praying, please make it so he's not a bad guy. Subvert my expectations in a good way for once. Wouldn't it be cool if he was a good guy? He's probably not, but it would be really cool if he was actually a good guy and Starfleet was cool in the future. That would be good. So we're finally home. We're home, boys. We're at the Federation headquarters. And wouldn't you know it, we're trying to look after these sick aliens called Keely, I guess. Like Keely lime pie. And basically, the crew of the Discovery is being sequestered away and interrogated because there's no way they can prove their authenticity. And rightly so. how do you prove that you really came from 900 years ago and you're in Starfleet and, oh, just accept me? Well, not so fast. We have to prove who they are. And Discovery says, specifically Michael Burnham comes up with this idea. Hey, instead of just showing you guys the spore drive and taking you on board to prove we're not lying, let's try to do this mission to save these aliens, the Kiwis, or Keeleys. And there you go, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And then Vance puts, of course, Michael Burnham in charge of the Discovery, because this is the Michael Burnham show. And basically these Keeley aliens are sick from eating some mutated food. And what they need to do is develop a vaccine by getting a sample of the food that they ate. And the food grew from a plant, which grew from a seed. So we need to find a Federation seed vault ship. I think in this episode it was called the Tikov. And this seed vault would have the seeds that they need to engineer a vaccine to save these aliens at Federation headquarters. This is cool. This reminds me of Star Trek. This was a Star Trek-y episode, okay? So, I'm actually going to give it a good score if you listen to the end. So, they get to the seed vault ship, and wouldn't you know it, it's manned by members of Nan's race. Do you remember her? The girl that needed the breathing apparatus, Nan? And basically a coronal mass ejection has caused the sea ship to malfunction in such a way that the crew is dead, except for the captain, I suppose you could call him, of the ship, who is in a depressive state over having lost his entire family, and they need to wake him up out of that to get access to the seed vault, to get the seeds that they need to cure the Keeley. Okay? So they appeal to his emotion, and they say, guys, there's another family that's going to die if you don't give us his seeds. Yo, can you just give us the seeds? And he's like, okay, yeah, why not? Except it's a little bit more distraught than that, and sad. But they get the seeds, take it back to Federation HQ, they create a vaccine, save the aliens, Discovery has saved the day. And I guess they've won the favor of Mr. Vance, Admiral Vance. And that's the A plot, which was cool. B plot was... I didn't think there really was a B plot in this episode. All I could really tell was going on was Ciro stayed behind at headquarters and talked to Vance about things. That's all I really got out of it for a B plot. Oh, and on the ship, Tilly, Stamets, and Reno were working on how to solve the crisis on the seed ship, and their banter was funny. It worked for me. If the writers don't forget about those characters, they're going to steal the show. Okay? There's something going on between Reno, Stamets, and Tilly. If they play it right, they could be a new trio like Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Because you got Reno, who's kind of the old and withered hag, Stamets, who's kind of like the middleman, the straight man, and Tilly, who's kind of like the young and cocksure, happy-go-lucky, oh my god, isn't everything great type character, okay? And they could play off each other in a really cool way if they do it right. They probably won't, but it could be cool, so I'm keeping my eyes on it. So, the aliens are saved. They've won the trust of Starfleet and the Federation. However, Giorgio was being investigated with a degree of intent not found in the investigation of the other characters, because they knew she was from the mirror universe. They couldn't hide it from them. And basically, something happens where she learns that the Terran Empire has fallen hundreds of years ago, and nobody from her universe has ever crossed over into this universe in a long time. And it feels like for the first time since we've met this character, Mirror Universe Giorgio, that she felt alone in a bad way. She was distraught. She had felt failure for probably the first time in her life. and it was an interesting moment. She was frozen with fear, which is an interesting turn for that character to take. I didn't expect this. And now I'm wondering if she's going to find a way to get back to the past herself. And that's how we get this supposed Section 31 show that's in the works that is apparently going to come out in some distant future. Yeah. So all in all, the episode was pretty good. As you know, I rate my episodes based on how I feel coming out of it. And if I'm watching classic Star Trek, I review based on logic. But you can't review these shows based on logic because there's not a lot of internal logic anymore. So I come around to the idea that maybe I'm just going to review it based on if I felt good and if I wanted to watch the next one. So I'm going to give you my numerical review after this moment right here. The music, again, in this episode was beautiful. The music that played when they were approaching Federation HQ, when they broke through the cloaking field, was fantastic. Man, I wish the theme song was that cool. Great background music, great little pieces of incidental music. It's really something else. It really puts the BURNham. I almost said, BURNham. Berman is what I mean to say. The Berman years of Trek, when he used to be the big top guy with Star Trek, was Rick Berman. I almost called him Rick Burnham. Interesting little Freudian slip, maybe. But the Rick Berman years, music-wise, were very boring in terms of background music. Theme songs were awesome. Background music, not so much. Owaishikin looks through the view screen and says, "Oh my God, is that a new constitution?" No, it's probably not. As far as I know, ship classes don't work that way. You don't look at a ship and say, "Oh, is this the new Galaxy class? Is this the new Intrepid class?" Okay. She should have looked at it and said, "Is that their new heavy cruiser? Right? Or is that their new light cruiser? Is that their new escort vessel?" She was trying to say a ship type, not a ship class. And I place this blame on the writers. It's kind of an egregious error. If you look at this from the logic of what Star Trek fans actually talk about online, then it's an egregious error. And it's one of those errors where if they really were Star Trek fans at heart, they would not be making that error. So it's pretty damning. Another ship we get to see inside the cloaking field of the Federation is the Voyager. And it's the same NCC registry, but it ends in J. So the Voyager namesake has survived into the future. That little mishap with being flung to the other side of the galaxy, don't worry about it. It's gone. They didn't have the spore drive. Apparently, the cover-up at the end of Season 2, where they classified all the information about the Discovery, was so good that 900 and some years in the future, no one figured out the truth. Man, Starfleet must have really good info security. Holy crap, you think? If I fart right now, people down in the main engineering deck will find out about it. They return to Federation HQ, and they say, "Reporting for duty." And the first thing Vance is saying is, "Well, we're taking your ship apart, we're going to refit it to be up to spec, and we're reassigning everybody." Which sounds completely normal. What did they expect would happen? And they're all upset about this. "You can't reassign us. We're the crew of the Discovery. We're special because we're the main characters in this show. And I'm Michael Burnham, and I need to be on this ship." And I'm gonna read what they said. "If this crew gets pulled apart now, some of us may never recover." That's what Michael says when they're talking about the crew being pulled apart. What the hell does that mean? Some of us may never recover. We're home now. This is it. We ain't going back. You should already be recovered by now. You're home. This is the Federation. They probably have unbelievable mental health science. They probably have unbelievable therapy. You're going to be okay. Alright? You will recover. It's time to get over it. You're in the future. You knew what you did. You also knew what you did was stupid, because you went to the future for someone you didn't even know. But you made your bed. And now you gotta lay down in it. Face down. Okay? Get over it. You're being reassigned. This is Starfleet. I know you guys don't like Starfleet, even though you're in it, but you best start believing in the Federation. You're in it. Giorgio is being interrogated by a specialist who is probably some type of psychoanalyst, and he has holographic assistants, and Giorgio manages to deactivate the holograms by blinking really fast, which is exactly as stupid as it sounds, and I bet you the writers thought they were real smart for coming up with that one, but guess what? They ain't, and it looked really stupid, and it was cringe, and I almost had to skip through it. But she deactivates the holograms, and oh my god, this person from the distant past is so smart. Wow, you're just like Khan. Remember him? He was from the past. Why was he so smart? I don't know. Again in this episode, the spore jump is portrayed as being disorienting. One of the security people from the Federation stayed behind on the Discovery to oversee the operation, and she went through a spore jump, and she was all like, "Woo," disoriented. When was this disorienting? In the season 1, the Discovery jumped to a million different places around the sarcophagus ship, and you could see the view screen the whole time, and it didn't look like there was any spinning. Why are we spinning? That's a good trick. Some of the CGI looked pretty bad in this episode. Some of the ship shots looked pretty crappy, and there was also a scene where Giorgio takes off somebody's badge, or gets their badge, and it's thrown to the floor, and she steps on it and breaks it like it's made of plastic, and it looked really bad. Like, look at that scene frame by frame and tell me that looks like a real shoe hitting that. The geometry looked all wrong, the lighting was wrong, CGI down the shitter, I think. Again in this episode, like the episode prior, Michael steals a scene from another character. There's supposed to be a heartwarming or heart-wrenching, perhaps, scene between Nan and another character, specifically the guy who is commandeering, running the seed vault, and Nan is supposed to be the one convincing him to give them the seeds, and then Culber takes her aside and says, "Hey, listen, Michael, she can't be trusted to be objective here. You're going to have to go in and talk to them. You're Michael Burnham. You go talk to them." And Michael Burnham steals Nan's scene. That was Nan's scene she stole. She stole Culber's scene last episode. What's going on? We're just taking other people's scenes and giving them to Michael Burnham. That's why she seems so schizophrenic, and the average person watching, the average normie who watches Star Trek will look at it and say, "Oh my god, this person is mentally ill." Okay? The reason it seems like that is because that's what happens when you give a character everyone else's script. Okay? They seem like they have a multiple personality disorder, because in many ways they do. They're being given everyone else's lines. Okay? Quit it. Other characters can have scenes too. Nan decides to stay behind with the Seed Vault ship, which sucks because we were just learning about this character. We were just starting to get to like her, and they got rid of her, same as Arium. This show is setting up a worrying precedent where a character, as soon as they start to get some development, they get killed. Alright? So we started to develop Arium, and then we killed her. And then we started to develop Nan, and then she left the ship. Come on, guys. We can have other characters. It's okay. And it sucks too, because I was starting to kind of like Nan. And she's gone now. But not dead. So she might be back. Just like Lorca. So, to wrap it up, many themes and motifs from the last episode are repeated here. This is still the Burnham Congratulation Hour, and everyone on the ship seems to remember all of her speeches. I didn't get a good feel for the new Starfleet uniforms or ships, which plays into the show's blurry sense of geometry. We don't get to see much up close or full profile images of things. This is annoying for me. Is this a budget problem? Music was fantastic again, if only the main theme was as good as some of the background music. It's sad to see Michael stealing Nan's scene, as she stole Culber's scene last episode. Episode ends on a poignant note, much like classic Star Trek. I'm just praying that Vance isn't a bad guy. At this point, that in itself would subvert my expectations. I'm giving it a good score only because Starfleet/the Federation has returned. And the Starfleet/Federation looking as advanced as it does makes sense now because we're actually in the future. So it doesn't bother me as much. So I'm giving this episode 6. 6 out of 10. My favorite episode so far. Again, every episode is better than the one previously. Don't screw it up.